Defense ministers from Europe's 5 leading military powers are meeting in Paris to discuss their support for Ukraine. France, Germany, Britain, Italy, and Poland plan to provide security guarantees for Ukraine in the event of a peace deal with Russia. Now, the so-called E5 meeting was set to discuss the importance of U.S. involvement in security guarantees as well. The UK and others are calling for guarantees from the White House in the case that the peacekeeping force is attacked, which so far the U.S. has declined to provide. European military powers are aiming for a united front, although Poland has so far said that it will not allow its troops to be based inside Ukraine. Our correspondent Lisa Louie is following this defense meeting for us in Paris. Lisa, good evening to you. You've been listening to a press conference that was just taking place. Tell us more about what the defense ministers had to say.
Well, they were basically saying that this was really a very important moment in this conflict. As you know, there has been a deal agreed between the US and Ukraine for a temporary 30-day ceasefire. And everybody here has been saying the ball is now in Russia's court. Now, we've heard that obviously over the past 2 days. But what the Europeans have been adding is that they are ready to jump in to provide security guarantees. These security guarantees would, first of all, mean that the Ukrainian army would be strengthened so that they could actually persist and continue to defend their own country. There's obviously also talk about sending possible peacekeepers to Ukraine, and then the ministers were also mentioning technological support and support in defending the sea and nuclear facilities in Ukraine. In any case, all the defense ministers here today have been saying we are standing, united with Ukraine, and we're going to make sure that this peace deal really can happen if it happens. And if there is this 30-day temporary ceasefire, we need to seize the moment to use that time to prepare a medium and long-term future of peace.
Lisa, France is hosting this meeting. President Macron has been very active on the issues being addressed there. What role could France end up playing in Europe's future defense plans?
Absolutely. President Macron has been taking centre stage over the past few weeks. Mind you, since he came to power in 2017, he's always been pushing for a strong Europe, l'Europe de la Défense, a defence union, really. He wanted Europe to have its own army, to have its own force, really, to come up with its own equipment, to work together. And that is an idea that has been gaining momentum, especially since it seems clear that the US no longer wants to be the protector of Europe. So Europe needs to stand on its own feet. And this is something that is boosting Macron on an international level, on a European level, but also on the home front, where, he's been kind of not really in the limelight over the past few weeks since he lost his majority in Parliament, and that has given his standing a little boost here in France and abroad. So he can really, play the leader on the international stage and the national stage.
All right, getting some political capital in the process. Lisa Louie with the latest in Paris. Lisa, thank you. Well, at this meeting, on the table was a plan that experts presented last week, which could see Ukraine better protected from Russian missile and drone attacks. It's called Sky Shield, and it involves deploying a European force of 120 fighter jets to protect Western Ukraine. But its authors stress that Sky Shield would be an explicitly Europe-led air protection zone operated separately from NATO.
A joint fighter jet exercise between French and Italian air forces in the skies above Estonia. Just 2 of several European countries with combat aircraft which could offer Ukraine protection from Russian airstrikes. Strikes like this one on Odessa a few days ago, which targeted Ukraine's energy infrastructure.
I think the European Sky Shield Initiative, or the Sky Shield Initiative, is a very, very interesting proposal. I think it deserves wide support. It involves Western aircraft providing support for Ukraine in Ukrainian airspace, shooting down drones and cruise missiles in designated areas.
Those areas would be mainly in the west of Ukraine. The plan would also cover 3 of Ukraine's operating nuclear power plants, as well as the cities of Odessa and Lviv.
I think it absolutely will send not only a powerful signal to Russia that European is properly supporting Ukraine, but it also sends a really powerful signal to President Trump. In other words, you may want to do a deal with Putin over the heads of the Ukrainians, but we Europeans are stepping up to the mark, and we are genuinely going to help Ukraine properly.
It will be up to Ukraine's military to continue defending the country's eastern front line. Nevertheless, there are concerns that the Sky Shield plan, which would see a deployment of up to 120 European fighter jets, could lead to an escalation between Europe and Russia.
There has to be some mechanism to prevent escalation, because mistakes sadly do happen, and we don't want to go into World War III because some trigger-happy pilot on either side has let loose a missile by mistake.
Without US military aid or intelligence, Ukraine is at a distinct disadvantage in its war with Russia. European allies know they must step up if they want to stop Moscow's land grab. And if countries agree, Sky Shield could form part of Europe's offer.